Brian Babcock. I'm an independent consultant for both technology, primarily polymer chemistry and coatings, and intellectual property. My educational background is in chemical engineering. I have bachelor's and master's, so I've worked about 20, I guess closer to 30 years in chemical engineering. About 15 years ago, I shifted into intellectual property management and patents and patent consulting, and then I also was not satisfied doing that, so I also went into entrepreneurial business of my own, patented coatings and coatings development for med device and diagnostics, and that led into other consulting work for expert witness and litigation consulting. And I've just basically worked for a lot of companies with a lot of materials, and that's basically how I got onto PreScouter's radar, because I was registered with the expert network. I think there is a missing opportunity in developing younger scientists around the engineering and scientific principles they need to really make new products. I think a lot of the modeling and things really depend on real data, and I don't know that we're getting real data. That's always very difficult because you always have to get out of your bubble. As I tell people, you have to kind of know what other people are doing. You have to know if you are actually doing anything innovative. And if you stay in your bubble, you can think that, but you're just deluding yourself. You have to stay connected with your network. You have to go to conferences. You have to read the literature that's coming out. You have to make an effort to read the IP that's coming out. It gets harder and harder all the time because there's more and more of it. But you really just have to work to stay connected with what's going on, and find a good way to evaluate what is the good information coming out and what's the noise. Let's see, top challenges again, I think are going to be training, especially again in the science industries. I mean, I love working remotely. I do, and most of my roles I can do very well working remotely. I do enjoy going in, to meet with people, but certainly again, early career role, it would not have worked. Unfortunately, you have to go in, you have to run the experiments, you have to get the data, you have to run the process, you have to be there and learn, and you have to learn from other people, but get their knowledge about a process or an industry. And so, I think really though, being able to balance that out, because I mean, it's going to be hard to really force people to come to work, but and you have to give them a meaningful role. I think leaders are going to be challenged to be able to develop that next generation of scientists and engineers in a way that doesn't just in a way that doesn't just make them parts of a cog in a wheel. Because unfortunately, I think remote roles can do that. And sometimes if you just look at a, plant position person, how are you going to develop skills for the next generation? How are you going to have a career path that does that? Because I think that's a challenge right now with a lot of companies now. They don't really want to develop people. Well, it's twofold, actually. I will say the biggest benefits to the clients is getting my expertise in, because I do have 20 plus years of a lot of different experience, and innovation happens at the boundaries. Innovation doesn't usually happen with the deep dive down a subject. It really happens at the boundaries. How do you get expertise from one field into another? And so I think clients definitely benefit from that, and I certainly benefit because it kind of forces me then to look at well, what what else is going on in these additional industries? What are some of the other uh, peripheral applications for technology? I think you have to just make that decision to do that. One of the companies I worked for years ago, they had a bracelet that they would wear, and it was just and it was actually one that was really good because it was when my kids were much younger. But it just said "Be here now," and it's very much an Eastern philosophy, but it really is focus on what you're doing now, choose to do what you're doing now, and but then when you're home, be home. When you're with your kids, be with your kids. Don't, when you're working, work, and this was, kind of before remote work took off, but it's very hard with the remote to let, things start blending in, and you like that flexibility, but you also have to decide that, okay, there's just times where you have to, unplug, and you're just, you have to just focus on, um, different tasks and different things you want to do, and that's always a challenge because it's especially when, in my case, I do a lot of independent consulting, so there is no set time, so it's just really, um, make sure you do have those routines. I mean, I think it's always good to make sure you do have some routine built in to your day, uh, while remaining flexible on just when emergencies or other things come up. I started learning to play piano last year. So for 50 plus years old, I just said, you know what? I'm just going to try it. So um, I think I've got Mary Had a Little Lamb down pretty good. Still have to look at the notes. I guess that's kind of one. I'm a twin, actually. Most people don't know that. So